Thank you for watching this food allergy presentation meant to provide awareness to teachers and school faculty. We will cover some general information as well as some best practices. A food allergy is an abnormal response to a food by the body's immune system, whereas the food is perceived as a threat. The first time someone ingests a food they are allergic to, the body creates antibodies to the allergen, which then connect to immune cells. The next time the food is ingested, those antibodies react to the allergen, creating the reaction. The symptoms of the reaction can be mild to severe and can be life-threatening. You simply cannot predict which. While there are more foods that can cause allergic reactions, the top 8 account for 90% of the allergic reactions in children. Those 8 are milk, eggs, peanuts, tree nuts, soybeans, wheat, fish, and shellfish. One thing to call out here, food intolerances are not the same as food allergies. A food intolerance is a stomach phenomenon where the body cannot properly digest the food. An example would be lactose intolerance. Intolerances are typically not life-threatening. For food allergies, the life-threatening reaction stems from anaphylaxis, which can occur within seconds to minutes after exposure. Anaphylaxis can close airways through swelling and/or induce shock, both of which are life-threatening. Symptoms include skin reactions such as itching, hives, pale skin, a feeling of warmth as the reaction permeates, feeling a lump in your throat due to swelling, constriction of the airways, a swollen tongue or throat causing wheezing and trouble breathing, a weak and rapid pulse, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, dizziness or fainting. The very real challenge with these symptoms is that it's not an all or none scenario. One symptom can present itself, or multiple, or all may be present. Failure to promptly administer epinephrine during an anaphylactic reaction is a risk factor for fatalities. There are no cures for food allergies. There are some treatments to increase tolerances. However, no treatment has proven consistent in not triggering anaphylaxis at some point. Research continues on many fronts. However, at this point in time, prevention, identification, and response are the primary vanguards for food allergies. Let's talk populations and statistics. In the US, 15 million people have food allergies. That's a lot of people and represents about 5% of the population. Every 3 minutes, someone is rushed to the hospital in the US due to a food allergy reaction. Since I began talking, between 1 and 2 people have been admitted to a hospital. A study by the Center for Disease Control in 2012 found that 1 in every 13 children are affected by food allergies, which equates to roughly 2 students per class. Studies also show that between 16 and 18% of children with food allergies will experience an allergic reaction from accidental ingestion while at school. Ingestion does not necessarily mean just eating. Touching a contaminated surface, then rubbing your eye or picking your nose introduces the allergen to your immune system. This next statistic is startling. 25% of the anaphylactic reactions that occur in school are experienced by students that didn't know they had a food allergy. This means that 1 in every 4 life-threatening reactions at school occurs to a child not at the allergy table and without an EpiPen. In another case study, it was discovered that 28% of food allergy fatalities occurred at school. The main reason the fatalities occurred was significant delay in the use of an EpiPen. And the population of children with food allergies is growing. Food allergies for kids has risen approximately 50% in the US between 1997 and 2011. And it's not just in the US. In Europe, hospital visits due to food allergy reactions has grown 7-fold in the last decade. Similar increases have been experienced in Asia. However, statistical research in that continent has only begun, limiting historical data. Anecdotally, however, Asia is also experiencing growth in food allergies. This all leads to the question, are schools prepared to handle this growing population of kids with food allergies? During the school year, kids spend roughly half their waking day at school, exposed to hundreds of other children and faculty, all with food. Their exposure is significant. I know the information and statistics I just shared seem dire, however, we can be prepared. There are things we can do to minimize exposure to these life threatening allergens. We can all be educated to identify their reactions quickly, and we can be prepared and ready to act. Did you know that 2 milligrams of peanut can cause lethal anaphylaxis? That's literally 1/250th of a peanut. That is such a small amount that simply inhaling some peanut dust could trigger anaphylaxis. Minimizing exposure is the single most effective way of preventing life threatening reactions. Accidental ingestion, contact, cross contamination, and surface residue can be minimized by hand washing, using soap and water after all meals, snacks, and treats, students and teachers alike. Soap and water can wash off or dilute significantly any residue. Antibacterial gels are not effective. They kill little bugs, bacteria, and viruses, not the food proteins that cause allergic reactions. Wiping down tables after meals, snacks, and treats using commercial cleaning products. These will remove the food residue. Reviewing food labels. Not all foods state whether they contain allergens or not. In some cases, it will state may contain and state the allergen. These are not safe. Additionally, manufacturers change the ingredients often without warning, so reviewing the ingredients the first time for one product is insufficient. Reviewing ingredients to non-food items brought into class. Items such as Play-Doh, arts and craft supplies, soaps and lotions in classrooms and restrooms. Even things such as potting soils can contain allergens such as nuts, fish, or shellfish, and any over-the-counter medicines in the nurse's office. Elimination of class treats, birthday cupcakes, and so on. And of course, no sharing of foods. These are all best practices for minimizing exposure. Again, minimizing exposure is the single most effective way to prevent life-threatening reactions. What if a student has a reaction? How would you know? We already discussed some of the symptoms earlier, but here we'll add in how a child may attempt to articulate what is happening to them. But let's start on the left side, which shows the symptoms that may be experienced. For the mouth, itching, swelling of lips or tongue. For the throat, itching, tightness, closure, coughing. For the lungs, shortness of breath, coughing, wheezing. For the heart, weak pulse, dizziness, passing out. For the skin, itching, hives, redness, swelling. And for the stomach, vomiting, nausea, diarrhea, cramps. Any one of these symptoms can indicate an anaphylactic reaction. But how does a child explain what is happening to them? These are some things a child might say to you. The food is too spicy. My tongue feels hot or burning. My mouth is tingling or burning. Something is poking my tongue. My tongue or mouth itches. My tongue feels hairy. My mouth feels funny. There's a frog in my throat. There's something stuck in my throat. My tongue feels full or heavy. My lips feel tight. My throat feels thick. It feels like a bump is on the back of my tongue or throat. It feels like there are bugs in there, in terms of itchy ears. If a student is telling you this, you must watch them intently and be at the ready to administer epinephrine. Now that we've minimized exposure and can recognize a reaction when it occurs, what action is necessary? In short, use the EpiPen as soon as possible, even if there is some level of doubt of the reaction. Better to use it and turn out to be wrong than to not use it and be too late. The appropriate dosage should be used. After using the EpiPen, call an ambulance immediately and then call the parents. Anaphylaxis has been known to recur after it subsides, Experts recommend an observation period of 4 hours and should be done in a medical setting. Taking the steps outlined to minimize exposure to children with known and unknown food allergies, knowing when a reaction may be occurring, and being prepared to administer the EpiPen will save lives. Recall that 25% of the anaphylactic reactions by students at school were students that were not previously diagnosed with food allergies. Minimizing exposure protects those children as well. We just went through descriptions of physical reactions to allergens and how to recognize those reactions and how to respond to them. But the challenges kids with food allergies face are not just physical. There are very real emotional challenges they face as well, which directly impact their ability to learn academically and grow emotionally. We will now be exploring some of these challenges. We've broken up the main emotional challenges faced by students with food allergies into 3 categories. However, they are all intermixed in reality. The first is safety from exposure, then bullying, and then exclusion. We will expand on each of these. What you see here is Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Abraham Maslow was an American psychologist best known for this hierarchy of needs, a theory of psychological health predicated on fulfilling innate human needs in priority, culminating in self-actualization. Essentially, before one can fulfill their self-fulfillment needs, they must first fulfill their psychological needs, and before that, their basic needs. Self-fulfillment needs includes academic learning, meaning that before effective learning can even take place, the basic and psychological needs must be fulfilled first. Basic needs include physiological items, such as food and water, as well as safety. For kids with food allergies, these two things intersect as food becomes a safety issue. Bullying is also a safety issue for which children with food allergies are more prone, which we'll cover a little later. Psychological needs include one's self-esteem and sense of belonging to a team, tribe, community, and so on. Please keep this diagram and meaning at the forefront of your minds as we continue. This cartoon is an indication of how students with allergies may think while at school. In many cases, parents have instilled in them the risks of exposure to their allergen. These kids constantly examining their surroundings to be sure they are safe, which may be at the expense of any lessons being taught. This demonstrates Maslow's hierarchy of needs in that the basic need of safety will take priority over self-fulfillment or academic learning. Implementing procedures to minimize exposure can enable kids with food allergies to fulfill these basic needs and improve their academic learning. Bullying impacts both basic and psychological needs. Kids with food allergies are more prone to being bullied. A real concern for kids with food allergies are pranks using the foods that could cause a fatality. Bullied children experience depression and anxiety, sadness and loneliness, sleep or eating pattern disruption, lack of interest in activities, and decreased academic performance. Referring back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we can see that bullied children are not able to fulfill their basic and psychological needs, and hence impairs their ability to fulfill their self-fulfillment needs, or academic learning. Let's turn to exclusion. Really what is being said here is that by excluding kids with food allergies from participating in class treats, the exclusion can expand from there. Think about it. When we eat together, breakfast, lunch, dinner, picnics, etc., it is a social bonding experience. We are all social creatures, and bonding over food is part of human culture and is a social glue. Kids with food allergies can be excluded from this critical bonding experience. As they are treated differently, others can feel it is acceptable to segregate them from the main group. This can lead to bullying and exclusion in other activities. Exclusion can lead to depression and anxiety, sadness and loneliness, sleep or eating pattern disruption, lack of interest in activities, and decreased academic performance. These are the same problems created by bullying and again demonstrate Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I believe the point being made is clear in that only in an environment where the basic and psychological needs of food allergy students are being fulfilled will they be enabled to succeed academically. Safety and inclusion equates to improved academic performance and positive emotional development for these children. So, knowing what we now know, implementing these best practices, knowing what to look for, knowing what to do, and fostering inclusion can create a school where allergic reactions are minimized, where faculty quickly recognize reactions when they do occur, and administer the child dosage of epinephrine when needed, where all children feel safe in their surroundings, where all children are included in all activities, where all children experience positive emotional development, where all children have equal opportunity to perform academically. I have three small kids attending school. I know from them that they view all their teachers as heroes. I know all kids do. Let me tell you that we, the parents, look at you the same. You are molding and shaping our kids and helping prepare them for successful lives. You are already heroes. Saving a child's life makes you a superhero. And I don't just mean that in the sense of using an EpiPen and calling the ambulance. Yes, you are a superhero if that happens. But far more often, it will be the little things that you do that prevent that life threatening experience that makes you a superhero. The things unseen and unnoticed. Having everyone wash their hands after handling food, reading food labels. Keeping the allergens away from these children means that you are a superhero to all parents of allergy kids every day. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope this helps spread awareness.